Hello, gorgeous gaggle of girls on the couch.
Hello, Bosworth. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm ready to talk about vaginal wellness. I'm ready to talk about female wellness, vaginal wellness, anal wellness. I mean, if we have anything to cover on that, we want to just be well. We want to be well. And we have you here today to talk about all of the amazing things that you've accomplished with your company.
Yes, thank you for having me. I don't know if you remember, but I was on your show on E a really long time ago, once when I was on the hills, and I was so scared to come on your show because I was so intimidated.
How was it? How was the experience? Was I nice?
It was scary. It was scary as fuck.
Was it? Was I nice to you?
You were very nice, yes.
Yeah, I don't know why people are so intimidated by me. I mean, I do know, but I didn't know for so long what the problem was. I was like, God, everyone would say that to me, like, you're so scary, you're so scary. And I'm like, I actually still don't really quite get it, but that's for another time, I guess.
You're a strong, funny woman, and I think people don't want you to like point out their obvious areas of opportunity.
Yes, right. Okay. Yes. Thank you for, you know what? That was probably the most eloquent way you could put it. So thank you for saying it so I didn't have to say it ineloquently. But good to know, and I accept this. I accept this badge of whatever it is because I understand. But I'm glad that I'm getting to see you again anyway. And I was going to say, have I interviewed you on Chelsea lately? Because I had so many interviews in the span of my career with all of the talk shows that I've done that sometimes I meet people and I can't tell. Like I had
Me neither.
I had Christina Ricci on the other week. We had her on the podcast, and I was looking at her, sitting here looking at her face, going, "I never forget a face," and I'm like. I couldn't remember whether or not I had interviewed her, and I was looking at her face, and I'm like, her face is very unusual. You know, she has a very unique face.
Yeah.
And while I was looking at it, I'm like, I know I haven't seen this face face to face before. You know, and so I was like, oh, and then she said, no, I was never on your show. I'm like, okay, that much I know. So anyway, Bosworth, you obviously people would have become familiar with you a long time ago from a show you were on called The Hills, which was like, probably the first reality show, really? Or
Laguna Beach before that.
Oh, yeah.
It was early.
Laguna Beach, I don't know if you remember that, but that was 20 years ago. It debuted in 2004, which is when I graduated high school and then started college. So yeah, a full 20 years ago, Laguna came on the air, and then The Hills followed that. So it's been a while.
Listen, you made a career out of being on a reality show. That wasn't a thing before. I mean, it's a thing now, but you were able to parlay that into something meaningful and great. So fucking good for you and congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been working on Love Wellness for going on 9 years now, which just blows my mind. I don't think I've been able to commit that long to anything in my life.
Yeah, that is a long time.
I'm really passionate about women's wellness, and I started the company out of, really my own need for better products in the healthcare space. And I really, to be honest with you, was determined not to be a reality television personality forever as my byline. And now I realize it probably just will be anyway. So whatever, I've kind of moved past that. But I think coming off that show, I had so much trauma, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of people who are on reality that have such traumatic experiences on it. And for a long time in the early days of reality, those stories were not really validated. They were pushed to the side. It was like, well, you're famous, so like shut up about your feelings. But now I think there's a better understanding just how like manipulative and terrible those shows can be, in people's psyche. And I started my business really as sort of a second chance at life, to be honest with you. Like I had to get away from LA. I moved to New York, and I really started my life over again.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had read too that you used sort of like the last bit of your earnings from the show to develop this product line and start the business, right? That's so cool.
I did.
And I just want to say that our business is now worth, you guys made, I think I'd said $100 million this year, right? Or it's valuated at $100 million?
It's evaluated
Or
more
evaluated.
than that, but we can't talk about our revenue yet for 2024.
Okay, well,
but
I
we're
just
doing
wanted
very
to say
well.
it's very successful.
Yes,
so that's
yes.
the
Thank
point
you.
we're trying to get across.
Yeah.
So tell us, okay,
can-
give us your backstory, like what happened, what was your issue that led you to discover and launch this kind of brand?
So I was in a really terribly sad, emotionally abusive romantic relationship. And in that relationship, I was very depressed and very anxious. And I also had a whole host of women's health issues, urinary tract infections, yeast infections, and it was like chronic. I was just always sick. And there was really a tipping point for me, though, where I was normal one day and then the next day I was just not. I was like lay on the floor depressed, like go home to my mommy for 3 months depressed kind of a thing. And I was going to the doctor over and over and over again and trying to advocate for myself and just being told that, here's some Prozac, you need to exercise more, drink more water, whatever. The typical medical gaslighting that I think a lot of women experience and have historically experienced in this country for a very long time. It wasn't until I was 18 months into this health journey of trying to understand why I was okay one day and then so not okay kind of overnight that my GP finally agreed to just do a blood panel and test my vitamin levels, like the most basic blood test you can do. And it came back as like deficient. It was overwhelming, but it was my very first data point that there was something physiologically wrong with me. And I wasn't making it up because I was being made to feel that I was just making all of this stuff up. And so with that first data point that I was dealing with these vitamin deficiencies, I actually had some information to go on, right? And then I kind of took that information to better doctors that were approaching healthcare from a more holistic point of view, which is, I think, becoming more popular in our healthcare system here. But you still have a lot of doctors very focused on their primary, area that they focus on. And so I was looking for a gynecologist, say, that could help me connect the dots better between vaginal health issues and gut health issues or the brain stuff that I was experiencing. And finally got a healthcare team in place that said, I think that actually all of these things are connected. I think that you have a gut health issue because you're the antibiotic generation. I was born in 1986. For every little thing, we took an antibiotic.
Oh, I take antibiotics all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were raised on goldfish crackers from Costco. Like, I love a goldfish cracker. And we have messed up gut microbiomes. And as a result, we have vitamin deficiencies. We have anxiety and depression because of leaky gut and the connection between the gut and the brain and that blood-brain barrier. And then from the gut to the vagina, we have gut dysbiosis that results in vaginal health issues because the gut microbiome and the vaginal microbiome talk to each other. It's called quorum sensing. The gut bacteria literally tell your vagina bacteria, hey, like we're in good health here. You should be in good health down there. Or the inverse, which is crazy. And so I finally started to understand what was going on in my body. But this was like 2015. There was still a lot of emerging research on just the gut microbiome coming out. Very little on the vaginal microbiome. That took kind of like the course of my business up until this point to get better understanding and research on women's microbiomes, but started to develop products based off of the holistic recommendations of some excellent doctors that were as simple as take a probiotic, use an intimate cleanser without fragrance. And it was these simple solutions that actually really made such a pivotal change in my health and allowed me to get better. And I decided I'm going to launch a business with a focus on these white space innovation types of products for women that really can fundamentally change the game for how we take care of our bodies at an accessible price point in everyday types of stores, right? And it was 2016 when I launched the company. It was right after the presidential election in 2016. And yeah, here we are.
8 years later.
Many years later.
In an interestingly similar place. I am curious about when you talk about leaky gut. So obviously you changed the vitamins that you were taking, the probiotics and that sort of thing. Did you do any sort of protocols to address leaky gut or anything like that?
Yeah. So, when I was kind of initially going through this discovery, My doctors thought, well, maybe you have some food intolerances, things like that. And I certainly do, but I'm also a human and still sometimes eat through those things anyway. And the only way to really find out if you have a food allergy or an intolerance is to do a diet where you eliminate that thing from your diet for a significant period of time. And I did that with gluten. And I was pretty surprised when I reintroduced gluten how negatively affected I was. Because the reality is, if you're eating something that you have an intolerance to every single day over time, your reaction to it is not going to be very big. It's going to be kind of consistent. You kind of get to that baseline kind of reaction. It's brain fog, it's bloating, whatever. But when I eliminated gluten from my diet and then reintroduced it, I got vertigo. I got horribly sick. I was like, oh my gosh, I really have a gluten problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, elimination diets are really kind of the gold standard for understanding if you have some kind of food issue.
How long do you think it takes, when you eliminate something like gluten, for you to actually feel the results of that, the impact that it has on your body?
The positive benefits?
Yeah.
I think within a week you probably start to feel the positive benefits of it if you have a food intolerance to that thing. Do I think you get max benefits in a month? Maybe. Probably longer than that. I think if you've been eating something you have an intolerance to your entire life, it's going to take a while for your body to heal from all of that inflammation.
Because I just feel isn't everyone intolerant of, not intolerant, but kind of allergic of gluten?
Well,
because we put of all the shit we put it in and put in this. When I eat bread in other countries, I don't have the same
specifically
issues.
In the U.S. I think you're right. There was a
whose body gets along with that?
Well, the thing is, what we use in the U.S. has about 7 or 8 times the gluten of the wheat that we evolved eating over 10,000 years. So our body is.
Oh, really?
It does. It's usually a GMO, and so it was made to help feed the world. The scientist who created it was this is amazing. It's going to help feed all these poor starving kids in these countries, and we're eating it here in the U.S. And that's why you go to Italy or whatever. I don't have any reaction to gluten in Italy or France or any of those places, but here it's I can eat Italian flour that I'm making here, pasta or bread or whatever. I'm fine. The second I eat something that's U.S. bread flour, it's over for me in about 20 minutes.
Big agriculture for you.
Yeah,
we're agrarians over here, Lo. We're agrarians. I'm a government official for the agriculture department. Can you imagine if someone said you have to get up and speak about that for an hour? I'd be you better give me a bong hit stat. So, okay. And so then launching that, because I've been in, where you've tried to launch a business, and it is so fucking arduous to get something off the ground that anyone who's been able to do it successfully, I'm just in awe of.
I'm pretty relentless.
Yeah, you sound like you really have your shit together.
I really love the subject matter. I love biology. I love the human body. I am just fascinated by it. And I think if you get into any business and you really want to be in it for the long haul, you have to really love what you're doing. And I actually gave up the CEO role in my business last March of 2023, so that I could focus on innovation, regulatory, marketing, the stuff that I'm really, really passionate about. Because to be honest with you, the CEO job is a tough job. I was a CEO for the first 7 years of my business and was able to successfully grow and guide that business as a first-time founder and CEO to a pretty significant size. I'm so proud of my accomplishment. But to really scale the business, to be a major player in Walmart and in Target, which are our retail partners, you have to have done that before and with success. It's really hard to walk into the room at Walmart, never having ever been there before, and say trust me and I can deliver products on time and I know about all the margins and all the coupons and stuff you guys want to do. No. Being an owner or an operator of a consumer brand means that you really have to have done it before, or you have to be willing to bring on a team that has done it before that can help you. to. And so that's where I'm really at now in terms of kind of my journey with the business. I don't have to do one-on-ones anymore, thank God. But I'm still really focused on all of the product innovation and really a lot of regulatory work. We sit in a very interesting category in supplements and cosmetics that's not actually regulated by the FDA in terms of like ingredients or safety, really just in terms of claims. And there's like a big consumer misconception that the FDA is all over these products in terms of like safety and stuff, but they're not. And it's really on brands to do the self-regulation. So that's one of my kind of missions, is to make really clean, efficacious products for women in a category of a lot of, frankly, just like bullshit. Because a lot of brands will just sell you a gummy vitamin and say it works, it's going to like solve all your problems when
And how are you as a consumer supposed to know which brands are full of shit and which brands aren't?
It's so hard. It's truly
like,
so
I'm
hard.
not reading any of these fucking labels. You know what I mean? Like, and I wouldn't even know what to be looking for. I just
it's
do
such
what
a challenge.
Yeah.
A lot of brands now tout like, oh, like clinically studied ingredients, but like they don't actually have necessarily like the clinically proven amount of that ingredient in a product.
Or the formulation that works best. Even like CoQ10 is something I started taking recently, and there's like 5 different kinds, and like one is very accessible by your body and like the rest are not, so you have to take way more, and it's sort of like on a case-by-case basis.
I think, I want to believe that most brands are trying to do right by the consumer. What I will say is that
don't assume that, because they're not. I mean, we know that's not true.
I know, but in this category, like I want to believe that, right? I want to believe that if a woman starts a business for women's health, in her heart, she has good intentions in mind for her customer base.
Yes.
I don't think that is always the case. And I can think of a few examples where that's specifically not the case. But I have to just to be able to like get up and operate every single day and live in the earth that we're living in, have some hope about the innate goodness in people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's called lovewellness.com for people who want to go and order stuff from her company, because I like the idea of having your own health issues and then finding a solution, which is the impetus for starting a company. I think that's a very natural kind of like linear thing to do. And I think you're right about female founders. I mean, I think for the most part, we're not handed anything. You have to actually actively go and work probably twice as hard as a man to start a company, to get the
Cardi
funding.
B said 10 times as hard the other day, and I thought, yes, Cardi B, it's 10 times
well,
as hard.
she's always been better at math than I have, so we'll take her. I'll take whatever she says. Yeah. So what's happening with your personal life? You're not married, right?
I have a fabulous partner. He's great. We live together.
Great.
We're in love.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I love that. You don't have kids? No.
No kids.
I can tell by the look on someone's face if they have children.
I look so rested to you, don't I?
She's glowing.
I'm kidding. No, we would love to have children, but not yet.
What I want to go back to,
but maybe soon.
Okay. Well, that's obviously a pregnancy announcement.
It's not. Absolutely not.
What is leaky gut exactly? I hear a lot about leaky gut, but like, what physicality does that take on in your body? Like, what happens?
I'll probably let Lo take this, but it's a lot of inflammation and other stuff, right?
Is something
is
something actually leaking from your gut?
Yeah. So like, think of it like when you eat food, and imagine if in that food there was like some like weird bacteria or something. Like, let's say you ate fish. Okay, I'm giving you like a very like basic example.
Okay.
Let's say that there was some like weird bacteria in the fish that you ate, and because you keep eating foods that are inflammatory to your body, your gut wall lining may have like tiny little gaps in it, right? And that like weird bad thing may be able to get through that gap, get into your bloodstream, and then go up to your brain, and if it's small enough, penetrate the blood-brain barrier and theoretically affect your brain health. And so that's like at the macro level, the concept of leaky gut.
Yeah.
You should be on Grey's Anatomy, Lo.
She's very well researched.
Seriously. I mean, that's actually great. I've been wondering what leaky gut is for a long time. I just, by the way it sounds, I assumed it had something to do with your asshole. Like that your gut gets to your asshole.
That's
that's a disaster. It turns into a shitstorm.
It could cause you to have like a lot of diarrhea and stomach upset if you have leaky gut, to be honest with you, because your stomach is probably so inflamed from all the weird stuff that your body like doesn't agree with or you're putting into it. But
it's just there's a lot of like vaginal health talk that we're having these days when it's just you never think about how healthy your vagina is
unless there's something wrong,
unless there's an issue. It's not like you're like, oh
well, I always like to tell the team, it's like when you don't notice anything, like that's the ideal state, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like when you don't know what's anything's amiss, that's like where you want to be. That's the healthy state. What I think is cool about the vagina is that it's actually an immunity organ, and very few people know that or think about it that way, but it is, right? There's a lot of talk about vaginal pH levels. That's like very like that terminology is used a lot now. Vaginal pH is acidic because it protects you from overgrowth of bad bacteria or bad yeast or pathogens, things like that. Because guess what? The vagina is the entrance up into your uterus, right? It's your fertility kingdom up in there. And so your vagina is protecting you from bad things that come and invade. But the vagina is very smart. The vagina will attack things that are not self, right? A bad bacteria or, a bad pathogen that doesn't come from you, but it will not attack sperm. It knows that sperm is not self, but it knows that it's not bad. Isn't that interesting?
So it's like an
immunity
elephant
organ, but it's a fucking brain also.
I mean, seriously,
she's smart.
She is. She sounds as smart as an elephant. I mean, how do you know who's welcome and who's
smart.
not? Although
she's smart.
Although then if the vagina was that smart, it should know that when someone's in danger and the sperm is coming, to not let that sperm in. If it were really smart, it would fend off rapists and all the bad guy sperm.
Wouldn't that be just
that would be
a dreamy scenario?
Yeah,
I think there's some Republican senators who do think that happens, which is a problem. But
well, the vagina is only going to get smarter as we move on, guys. It's evolution. People are getting smarter, not dumber. Although some people are really stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a break on that note and get rid of all the stupid people, and we'll be right back. And we're back with less stupid people and with Lo Bosworth. Okay.
We are back.
We're going to take some questions and some callers, Lo. Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready,
Amazing.
yes.
Amazing.
I'm excited.
Well, our first question, this one's just an email, so she won't be joining us, but this question comes from Annie. Annie says, Dear Chelsea, I've been a fan and listener from the start. I'm a psychologist who primarily administers intellectual and personality assessments. A few years ago, I was unfortunately in an abusive relationship and experienced a traumatic brain injury, also known as a TBI. As a result of that injury, I have a diagnosis of aphasia. In my case, it's a wall between my formerly large vocabulary, similar to yours, and my ability to access it as necessary during quick communication. My question is, can you give me some of the tips you discuss on the podcast that you use to continually increase your vocabulary? Also, any advice on how to manage the anxiety that comes at work and increases the severity of my ability to access my vocabulary? Forever one of your biggest fans and supporters, Annie.
First of all, I want to say one thing. If accessing your vocabulary and having aphasia, you have to understand that it's okay not to have to use sophisticated words all the time. It's okay to communicate. Your main goal is to communicate, get your relay something, a thought or a message or whatever. So just do that in the simplest way without putting pressure on yourself to remember the bigger words to do that. That's not necessary right now. In the meantime, what you can do, and what I always do, is I always have vocab words. I have word of the day, dictionary, things. I get 1 million words of the day. I always print them out, have them laminated. I collect them. If there's 20 new words, I print them out and put them on a laminated sheet and put them in my closet or put them on your fridge so that you're seeing them every single day. And I guarantee you will start to imprint new words into your vocabulary, and then you're going to have a whole new slew of words. And some of those words that you already know will be repeated, but you're cementing them in your brain in a visual way, and that lends itself to memorizing things more easily, even if you are dealing with aphasia.
Yeah. And Lo, I know you had a traumatic brain injury a few years ago.
I was like, is this question custom tailored for me?
Yes, we tried it. We do that.
I know.
So I'll let
Chelsea, you're like an English teacher, like posting up your words.
I know.
I love it.
It's all I've got.
I had a traumatic brain injury in 2019. I was at a restaurant in Manhattan, and one of the swinging kitchen doors came off its hinge and fell onto my head. And it was pretty brutal. And I dealt with some loss of vocabulary for a period of time. I think that I have mostly recovered, but sometimes it still happens to me where I can't come up with the word, and it's really, really tough. What I would say is that brain exercises really helped me, whether it's brain games. It could be as simple as dedicating yourself to 20 minutes of reading a book every single night, just to kind of activate your brain again, to like be reading and understanding just language in general. But I would give yourself just as much physical rest as you can in the time that you can, right? Really focus on sleep. We know that as women, we need more sleep than men. And one of the things that my doctors recommended for me while I was going through my TBI recovery was to really avoid inflamed foods, because inflammatory foods can cause even more brain fog. And I think it can probably make the aphasia that she's talking about even worse. I notice for myself, when I eat a bunch of gluten, I really struggle with my vocabulary. I really struggle to find the words that I'm looking for. And when I eat a cleaner diet, that doesn't seem to be as big of a deal for me. I'm also going to go down like the peptides injectables rabbit hole right now into something called BP7157.
I take that. BPC 157.
BPC, thank you. BPC 157, right?
Yeah.
And this has started to be recommended for people who have brain issues. It is a gastric acid, I think, that supposedly can help with like brain lesions and things like that. So I would look into that. It's supposed to be like a crazy like healer type of peptide. It is on, I think, the like list of worldwide banned substances for doping. So I hope that you're not a professional athlete.
You can't be a professional athlete and take it, but it also...
You can't be a professional athlete and take it, but the general population can take it, and it may help.
And yeah, it may help. And that also helps with like physical recovery and any injuries. Like I inject it into my knee area all the time, especially when I'm skiing, because it helps like kind of heal whatever your issues are. The other thing I wanted to say, what Lo just touched upon though, is that your diet and like your mental, the correlation between what you put in your body and your mental alacrity is like scientifically proven. So if you're really like, I know if I'm about to do some event where if I'm going to do this podcast, I don't eat before I do that because my mind isn't as sharp. Your mind will always be sharp when you're slightly hungry. It'll be sharper. When you're full and you feel tired and you're not digesting things well, that's when you start to get lazy and you feel less kind of vibrant. So just be mindful of that. And, when you eat, don't overeat, because that puts you into then you spike your blood sugar and then you go high and then you crash. So you have to be really mindful of your diet, especially when you're talking about these kinds of issues. It's like we're Dr. Phil and
I think we do some great hot tips.
I feel like we have like a doctor. This is like two doctors. We're like two really medically advanced laymen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
BPC 157. Okay, so our next question comes from Cynthia, and she will be joining us on the phone here in a moment. She says, "Dear Chelsea, I'm a 39-year-old woman living in Brooklyn, New York with my beautiful girlfriend of 4 years, now my fiance. I have a great job. I love my fiance to pieces. I'm not the most social person, and I don't have many friends, if any at all. I consider myself an intelligent person, and I've been in therapy for many years, on and off, to help me cope with childhood trauma. I think the root of my depression, or maybe the consequence of it, is I have zero motivation. I don't have the willpower to exercise. I have a pretty shitty diet, and I basically just work to come home to do the same cycle the next day. I know that diet and exercise is a huge factor for bettering myself mentally and physically, but I just can't seem to find the energy or motivation to get up and do all the things I probably should to make myself feel better. I used to be on antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds, but stopped them on my doctor's advice because it withered my sex drive down to nothing. I've been off my meds for a couple months now, and I've been feeling the ups and downs of that. I'm consumed with shame and guilt at the fact that I know exactly what I have to do, but the fuck it in my brain is much stronger than any of those thoughts. I've talked to a doctor and they tell me I just need to push myself. But how? I've had times in my life where I did have motivation, like in my 20s, and I'd get up and exercise and eat a healthier diet, but I feel like that part of me is just not alive anymore. My fiance also struggles with the same lack of motivation I do, so it seems like we enable each other. How can I spark some much-needed motivation? I'm tired of being tired. Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hey, Chelsea. Hi, Catherine.
Hi.
This is our special guest, Lo Bosworth. She's here today.
Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
Great, thanks.
Who's going to go first? Because I have an idea.
I think you should go first.
Okay. Cynthia, have you ever tried meditation because it requires no physical exercise and no dieting?
I haven't, no.
So meditation is really cool because it creates new neural pathways in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And creating new neural pathways in the brain allows you to create new habits, new hobbies, new interests. Because I think what you may be experiencing is something that a lot of us are experiencing right now, which is kind of this like freeze mode in reaction to potentially the stress of the times we're living in or whatever it may be, right? I think that there's not a ton of hope right now. And so I think one of the ways to think about from an actual like neurochemical neuroplasticity point of view is how can I create neural pathways to change how my brain is behaving? And then I can change how my body is behaving, right? My behavior can follow. And so I've been doing something called transcendental meditation off and on for almost 10 years. And it's a tool in my toolbox that I use when I'm feeling really anxious or really depressed. And after like 5 or 6 days of doing transcendental meditation, I wake up and I actually feel different and I'm actually inspired to like go do things differently in my day. So that would be my like immediate go-to suggestion. I think outside of just acknowledging that we live in some really weird times. And I think what you are describing is to a certain degree the human condition. And we all feel this way from time to time.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. That is good advice. And I always endorse, I espouse meditation. But you and your partner are in a funk together. So out of love, like if you can't do it for yourself, then you need to be doing it for her. You know what I mean? Like you guys have to get on a different fucking program and you have to write down what your goals are. I want you guys to sit down together tonight and write down what you want to be accomplishing in a month, exercise wise and diet wise and meditation wise. So now you have like 3 tasks that you have to be mindful of every single day and you need to be accountable to each other. And when she's weak, you need to be a little bit stronger. And when you're weak, she's going to have to pick it up too, because you guys are kind of commiserating together. And until you break this pattern, you're going to be stuck in this pattern. And you want to be healthy and strong. Yes. When you don't do anything for long periods of time, you become less inclined to want to do those things. But the minute you say, today, we're going to go for a 15-minute walk together, 15 minutes, you can do that together.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel the benefit of that when you get back. You might be annoyed and like, but you're just going to do that every day for the rest of the weeks or for 1 week from now, 15 minutes of exercise together. The 2 of you have to do together if you can. Can you?
Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah, that's nothing. Okay. And then you can download a meditation app, any of them. I do Chopra, which is called Presence. They just changed the name of it. But start with an app because those are easier. There's 10% happier. There's
Headspace is the one I use. Yeah.
Headspace is really beginner friendly. Download Headspace.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, Headspace is a good one.
And you guys can meditate together. That's an even more powerful vibration to create. Is 2 people meditating together. 2 people that love each other. Like you're doing this together. together. This is a team now. You're on a team with your partner, and you're going to put 15 minutes a day towards exercise. You're going to do 5 minutes a day to begin with of meditation, and you're going to be mindful of what you eat. Doesn't mean you have to change your entire life, but just start to make little healthier choices. It's,
And one thing that's really helped me is like the addition of healthy choices. So it's like, okay, so especially when you're just starting out, it's like adding in a little fresh fruit, adding in a fresh salad, like something that's really manageable and easy. And like you start to crave that stuff even more.
But I also want you to be, yes, absolutely. Instead of French fries, get a salad. Instead of whatever, just those things. It doesn't sound appealing. I understand. But once you start to practice these things, you're going to create all of those neural pathways that she's talking about. And you're going to start to crave the goodness and you're going to start to crave to move your body for 15 minutes. You just have to commit on the lowest level. And then also, I think what you should do is write down at the end of the day how you felt about all of the stuff you did. Like, how did I feel about the exercise? How did you feel after you exercised? Good, bad, exhausted, whatever. How did you feel after you made a healthy choice, a healthier choice with your food? Good, bad, great, didn't matter. It had no impact. Write that down for a week, and I promise you will start to see benefits, and you're going to start to feel differently. Your lack of motivation is feeding itself.
Right.
So now you have to feed it something else.
Okay. I have a question for you too. Is there room for a dog in your life?
Right now, no, we have a small apartment. My my landlord wouldn't be cool with it. But we are planning to move eventually, and definitely want to get a dog.
Yeah, I think that is such a helpful tool in getting you to the move more because you're just like, I'm out with my dog. I'm listening to a podcast maybe. I'm having a good time. I want to go an extra block. Like, it just helps so much getting you out and about.
Yeah, and being outdoors at all, whether it's nice, ugly, cold, gray, is good for your system. That's good for your immunity system. It's good for your energy. Like, you have to feed yourself medicine because you're depriving yourself of all of the things that life has to offer. Everything's here for you, and you're choosing to not, you know what I mean? You got to step it up a little bit. And on the medication front, also, is your sex drive better without the medication?
It hasn't. I mean, it's only been about 3 months, and I'm just waiting around to see what's going to happen. And I'm still kind of at a lull.
Okay. So then maybe you do need the medication. Was the medication making you not sexual too?
Yeah, I think that it contributed to me not having any kind of sex drive. And my doctors agreed that does usually happen on anti-anxiety meds or antidepressants of certain kinds.
Okay, so I think what you should do is do this prescription that I've given you for the next 4 weeks. Okay, do that and see if your mood changes. And if at that point it doesn't, I want you to call us back.
Okay,
but you guys have to do this every day together. You have to commit to it.
Yeah, and I love what you say about starting small. I think it's not new advice, but it is the best advice. Because you do get the ball rolling when you start small.
Yeah, you just got to pick up. You made this call. You're calling in because you want to change your life.
Yeah,
and now you have the opportunity to change your life. I just told you the simplest things to do. They're totally accomplishable, regardless of what happens in our atmosphere. What's happening right now? That has no impact. You know what I mean? Just. Right. Keep that, just go. I want you to move forward, caring about your body and caring about your partner's body.
Lo, I wanted to ask too, are there any supplements that you would recommend as far as sexual wellness and increasing libido or anything like that? Especially for women?
I think, honestly, a great multivitamin is just a good place to start. I think we make a great one at Love Wellness, not to toot our own horn.
Yeah, toot your own horn, bitch. Why do you think you're here? Toot your own horn. Go to Love,
there's
lovewellness.com and pick up a multivitamin. That's always good. Everyone needs fucking vitamins.
Okay. There are some libido supplements out there that you can try. But I think just in general, there are some classic herbs that support women's health that are actually found in our multivitamin as kind of herbal add-ons like ashwagandha, chast tree, St. John's wort, etc. But a good multivitamin can really help with hormone balance. It can help with some of the neurological stuff that you're talking about. 90% 50% of Americans have vitamin deficiencies. Most of them are vitamin B and vitamin D, and that can actually lead to a lot of depression and anxiety. I dealt with that myself. So I think, in addition, probably just a routine trip to the doctor, could be in order, just to take like a deeper look under the hood. I'm not sure of your age, and I won't ask, but there's even the possibility that you could be experiencing some perimenopause symptoms, which, like may be a factor here. I don't know. But perimenopause can start in women at age 35, which is something that is like really not talked about. And so, yeah, I think I think the team here has some really good suggestions. And I think I heard you live in Brooklyn. You probably are doing good things for yourself already, and you're just like not noticing it. Like you're a New Yorker. I live in New York too. Like we walk a lot everywhere, every single day. You know what I mean? So that first week that you're taking a journal, like write down all the things that you're doing. Like, yes, like go above and beyond and take that 15-minute walk. But I suspect that like you're already doing some things every day that you can feel proud about. And you are stuck in kind of this like negative self-talk environment. And yeah, I think remembering that you want to do it for your partner and that you love them and that you need to be accountable to them and for them is a really helpful part of it also. It's like whenever my boyfriend is having a bad day, like that's when I'm really able to like jump into like superhero mode. It's like, oh, you need me? I can do that for you,
Yeah.
And so playing that role for each other, I think can be really powerful.
Gotcha.
And it's going to put a pep in your step. I promise you. All of these little micro things are going to add up together, and the sum of its parts are going to add to your life.
Okay.
All right.
So check in with us
I hope we haven't
again.
Overwhelmed you. You can do it.
Yeah, check in with us.
No, it's not overwhelming at all.
Check in with us, and maybe we'll have you up on a couples counseling episode with your partner.
Yeah, that's fun. We could do a follow-up with your partner and see how you guys are after a month.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, and then we could take it even further.
Great.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thank you, Cynthia. We'll talk to you soon,
Thank
okay?
you guys so much.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Bye.
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 All right. Well, our next question comes from Aspen.
Aspen, Colorado?
Aspen, North Carolina, actually.
What a chic bitch.
Oh, she lives in North Carolina, but her name is Aspen.
Aspen. Maybe that's where she was conceived. Who knows? Dear Chelsea, I turned 30 this year, and I've been at my job for 10 years. I'm a hairdresser at an amazing salon who supports me in every way possible. The issue I'm facing is I had 5 and 10-year goals, and I've mostly hit all of them, even having a whoopsie-doodle baby along the way. I can't help but feel that now I'm where I want to be, I'm really restless. I'm very driven, I'm a dream chaser, but I feel like I've fallen into a very uncharacteristic slump. I absolutely adore my job, and I do dream of bigger and better things, but I have such a hard time figuring out what the hell that means. Basically, what I'm asking is, have you ever been in a career plateau, and how did you get the clarity for your next big dream? Thank you, Aspen.
Hi, Aspen.
You look incredible.
Thank you. I thought today was a great day to wear a pink power suit.
You're correct.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
I love your outfit. You look great.
This is our special guest, Lo Bosworth.
Hi.
I've been a fan for a long time, too. This is wild.
Oh, thanks. That's so nice. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Lo, did you want to go first?
Yeah, honestly, I think
Since
sometimes
you're
it's
such a
okay
power
to be
top.
I think sometimes it's okay to be in a slump. Like, here's how I think about it. Okay? I think that you could go too hard on being so good at stuff and too hard at like doing nothing and being lazy. I think that when I talk about balance, that's what I mean. Like, I'm working on fertility stuff for myself right now. I'm taking so many fucking supplements every night and doing all of this stuff. And I decided the other night, like, I had it. I needed to go out and have a drink. And I realized we're talking about your career and not like your wellness, personal life. But I'm just trying to create that parallel, right? Is that like you can take a break from being a boss bitch if you want to, right? There is a lot of good in taking a break, in letting it coast, in letting it ride for a little while. You can accomplish a lot of personal goals, right? You can get a lot of sleep. You can drink that cocktail that you're drinking, right? And so I didn't expect this to be the advice that tumbled out of my mouth. especially on this podcast where we're like, girls, yeah, entrepreneurs, yeah. But like, my God, it's exhausting to always try to be the best and to always try to do the right thing. And so maybe you take this moment as a time for rest and self-reflection. And when your body and mind are ready, it will come to you. Perhaps your body and mind are not ready.
Hey, I mean, that definitely all resonates for sure. It's exhausting, always feeling like you have to be the best. I mean, I feel like it's helpful in a lot of ways, and it's helped me get as far as I have, like having such a high standard, but at the same time, it like, you know, it's hard to keep that going, you know?
It's hard to keep that going. And also, like, when you're really good at multiple things in life, there is such truth to what Lo just said. Like, sometimes you have to chill out to let the mood strike you. Like, when you're in search of the next job, the next project, like that aggressively, sometimes you're kind of almost creating a blockade towards that goal, you know, because you're putting so much pressure on yourself. Like, there is something to be said for enjoying the moment that you're in, because you're not struggling right now, and you might be in a little bit of a plateau, as you say, but out of plateaus, things rise up. You know what I mean? So enjoy this time, because you may not have a quiet time like this moving forward. And I wouldn't put so much pressure on, I have to come up with this next thing. What is the next thing? I'm too productive and too smart to not be this productive. That is kind of like, you know, almost a negative self-talk cycle as well. So I would say enjoy the time that you're having. You're in control of your situation. Things seem to be under control, right?
I'm definitely, and maybe too in control of my situation sometimes, honestly.
Yeah. Well, tell us about that. I mean, expand.
I mean,
Expound and expand.
yeah. So I've always had like a very clear idea since I was really young of exactly what I wanted to do. I went to school for it. I did it. I became really successful at a really young age. I mean, I'm only 30 now, and I've been at my salon for 10 years, which is kind of wild. And I've gotten to the top of the salon. And I think, yeah, like I said, I had all those goals, and I was so meticulous about every day, this number I hit, every month, this number I hit, every year, this number I hit, like just kind of obsessed with it. And I've been so obsessed with it, I think, being in control of my own career and my own pathway, that now that I've kind of gotten to that, you know, goal that I had, the not having control of it anymore is, I think, a little bit terrifying, because I'm like, wait, now I don't have control of the future, because I don't know what the fuck the future is, you know?
And do you have anything that you're thinking about doing next?
I mean, that's what I was saying too, is I absolutely love what I do, but I can't help to like, I do still feel like I had this like pit, like this feeling in my stomach of like, I'm not fulfilling my full potential. Like, I feel like I might have more to offer the world than I'm currently offering, if that makes sense.
If that's true, which it probably is, that will come to you in a natural way. You don't like you. I think you sound very controlling. You know what I mean? Like, you're a control freak of your own life. I mean, most people are. So that's fine. But I think this is actually a good lesson that you're calling in to talk to us, and we're telling you both we're both telling you just to chill out. Like, chill out and like allow ideas to come your way. And I'm sure whatever it is will naturally, organically appear in your life once you stop looking so hard for it. It's like trying to find a boyfriend.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's honestly like how I met my husband 10 years ago too. I finally was like, fuck it, I'm done dating. I'm just going to work. And then literally 3 days later, he comes to the salon and is like, hey, marry me. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
Great.
It sounds like you have to learn how to sit in your discomfort a little bit. It feels like you're really uncomfortable, and you're really trying to get out of that uncomfortable. I don't know what's next.
Anal.
I'm not in control
Try anal
zone.
if you're trying something
Try
uncomfortable.
anal.
Yeah. I mean, what'd you say?
Been there, done that.
Okay. Well, just something to shake shit up. I just love that she's having a cocktail. Okay. Well, this is good. What's your takeaway from this call?
I think it was definitely really helpful for sure. I mean, I think I knew that deep down, but it's almost like when you're a little bit of a control freak and like a go-getter, you almost need permission from somebody else to do nothing for a minute, because it's like you never give that permission to yourself. So I feel like it's really nice to get permission, especially, and that's, you know, probably not the right word, but in my words, permission from women that I really respect, who I consider to be go-getters as well.
Also, like, be really proud of yourself for getting this far in your life. You're 30 years old. You've accomplished all of the goals that you had set out, which leads me to believe that you are going to accomplish the next set of goals you set out. And there is no time frame on those things. So So be very proud of your competency and your ability to like follow through on all of these dreams that you've had. Like, that is a huge accomplishment. So like enjoy that. Go with that for a minute.
Luxuriate in your accomplishments. Like, you've earned the right to sit back and take a break.
And you're only fucking 30. Like, this is
Even
awesome.
You're 30. That's so cool.
I feel like I grew up really fast as I had a kid at 21. So it makes you grow up really quickly. But so sometimes I think I feel that I'm older than I am. But yeah, you're right. I am only 30 and I do have lots of time to figure it out.
Yeah. You will.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Aspen.
Bye, Aspen.
And yes. Thank you, Chelsea, for all the years. I've been a huge fan since I was, like 15 years old, watching Chelsea Lately on the couch with my mom at night. So this has been an honor to talk to you. So thank you for being the person you are. You're a huge role model to me.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
you.
Aspen.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
What a sweetie. So funny because Cynthia was upset at herself because she didn't have the motivation. And, Aspen's upset at herself because she has
we
too
should
much.
combine those two.
She
One
has
has
too
no
much.
motivation.
Get 'em together.
One has too much motivation.
Yeah. She's like, what's next? I'm like, I take a nap.
What's next?
Exactly.
A nap is so delicious.
Yes.
Like, come on.
So let's take a quick break and we'll be back with one kind of wild question that we have.
Okay.
So,
We're going to take a break. And we're back with Lo Bosworth.
we are back. And our final question comes from Savannah. This one's just an email. She is 29. She writes, Dear Chelsea, my boyfriend tried to fuck a stripper 2 weeks ago, and I'm wondering what I should do. I'm leaning toward the idea of forgiving him, going to couples therapy and working through it, but part of me can't help but think, what if this is who he is? Are these his true colors? How can I trust a liar? Do people genuinely make mistakes, or am I just a sucker? For context, I'm a 29-year-old girl, and my boyfriend is 31. He's the absolute love of my life, the most thoughtful, caring, passionate person I've ever known. He truly has a heart of gold. This sounds ridiculous, I know, but it is true. When we first got together, all of his friends warned me not to break his heart. Who knew I would be the one getting screwed? Well, me and at least one other person. We were close friends for 2 years before we became a couple and have been dating for a year and a half, and we lived together. Here's my problem. It's not so much the stripper, it is the lying. The deception. I feel tricked, betrayed, bamboozled. You get it. He went out of town a 3-hour drive away on a work trip and was going to be gone for 1, maybe 2 nights. The second day is wrapping up and he decides to stay another night. I fell asleep on the couch and woke up at 2 a.m., grabbed my phone. To my surprise, he never called or texted, so I FaceTimed him, and he was in an Uber acting pretty weird, but it was late and I didn't want to get into it, so I went to bed. When he got home the next day, the vibes were kind of weird, so I asked him what he did that night and told him it was shitty. He was too tired to drive but went out and partied. The area he was in has a lot of strip clubs, so I asked if he went to a strip club and he said no. I could tell he was lying, so I reassured him that I wouldn't be mad. I just would like to know the truth. He insists he did not go to a strip club, doubles down, triples down. So I tell myself I trust him, I have no reason not to, and a week goes by. Then, Chelsea, I have a horrible gut feeling all week. I can't sleep, and I keep thinking he cheated on me, which is not normal. So I did the thing you're not supposed to do, and I looked at his phone. I went to his deleted text messages. Oh, so he was smart enough to delete it. And found that he texted a stripper that night that he was on his work trip. Hey, this is Tony. Come to Indigo Hotel. I got you. I leave at 10 a.m. I feel so heartbroken, confused, and deceived. Am I a fool for not walking away, or am I throwing something amazing away for a stupid mistake? Savannah.
Lo, would you like to begin?
No.
See, this is the thing. She says, like, my boyfriend tried to fuck a stripper, but, like, who's saying she didn't show up? Nobody's saying she didn't show up. He might have done it.
Your boyfriend lied to you repeatedly. He chose to stay in a motel around a bunch of strip clubs instead of coming home to you. That is all the information that you need to know. That's it. No other information is relevant. Right. That's what he chose to do. Yeah. He's telling you exactly who he is, and that's it. He's a liar.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, like, he spent a lot of time to, like, plan, prepare, execute. This was not off the cuff.
Right.
Which means that if you... He's done this before.
Yeah.
Like, it does take a lot of bravery, I think, to, like, go out and to actively cheat on somebody who you love in a lot of ways. Like, it takes a lot of balls to actually execute against that plan.
It's the lying after the fact.
Yeah.
If there was nothing to hide, he would have just told you, yeah, I did. I tried to fuck a stripper. I've never done that before. It's the lying. So it's over.
Yeah.
Like, that's not somebody you can trust, and that's not somebody who has your best interest. So that's that's the news. And I hope that you act on that instead of finding out about this happening in another 6 months.
Right. You know, there is a question of like, is your tolerance level to let him go do these things and like have that kind of relationship? And if it is, fine. But like, you can't really get past the lying. Like, there's no tolerance level for lying in a relationship.
The lying is, I can't deal with any adults who lie. It's too
adults
stupid.
that lie are never going to learn how to unlie. You know what I mean? Like, if you're an adult that lies, that's just your pattern of behavior. It's who you are, and like, you're not going to change. So
yeah. So, Savannah, I think it's over.
Anyway, Savannah, sorry about that. But there's plenty of guys out there that won't lie to you.
That's right.
Okay. Well, Lo Bosworth, how fun was today?
thanks for having me. This was a delight.
I want everyone to know where you can get her products. They are available nationwide at Target, Ulta Beauty, Walmart, Amazon, and then at lovewellness.com. And
yes.
And you also wrote a book called Love Yourself Well. So that goes into all the science behind all of the gut, brain, vagina, axes, everything we're talking about. Yeah.
And you have a podcast, right?
And you have a
Gut
podcast
Feelings?
called Gut Feelings.
Yes, our Love Wellness podcast is coming back next year. We're on a little hiatus right now because we got a lot of work to do, but the podcast will be coming back.
Okay, great. Okay, Lo, thank you so much. Congrats on everything.
Thank you. Bye.